Hey everybody, we have some interesting news today. First, we're going to talk about this news with Trump expected to call Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, a very pro-crypto president, we know that. We also have some Cynthia Lummis news. She had an announcement. She's going to be the chair of a subcommittee for digital assets. And then we'll look at Bitcoin on the chart, only a few percentage from a new all-time high. Now, as for this Donald Trump and Nayib Bukele news, they're expected to have a call on Thursday afternoon. And obviously, this is bringing speculation that they're going to talk about crypto. What else are they going to talk about? Possibly something else, but I would assume it's Bitcoin. Now, there's not much more to that article, but I'll leave it down below if you want to look at it. It talks about how much El Salvador holds in terms of Bitcoin. It's not very much, but still a massive positive when you're talking about adoption. Now, we had this announcement from Senator Cynthia Lummis, and here it is. It said, big things are coming. Some people speculated that this was going to be an actual Bitcoin purchase, but what it ended up being is an announcement that she's going to be the chair of a subcommittee for digital assets. And she says here, digital assets are the future, and if the US wants to remain a global leader in financial innovation, Congress needs to urgently pass bipartisan legislation establishing a comprehensive legal framework for digital assets, and that strengthens the US dollar with a Bitcoin reserve. I'm humbled my colleagues have placed their trust in me to chair this historic subcommittee. Looking forward to shepherding bipartisan legislation to President Trump's desk this year that secures our financial future. And we got Michael Saylor giving the congrats. Now, what's happening with Bitcoin's price? Today's a somewhat positive day, up about 2.5%, but here's something to realize, guys. We are not far from all-time high. A small, 3% move, and we're back to all-time highs again. One thing Bitcoin was facing on the shorter term was, I don't know if the market's going to pay attention or we already had the reaction to it, essentially. But we did earlier have a head and shoulders. This is a bearish sign. Usually this brings a little pullback, and it did pull back to the neckline. Hopefully that's all it needed and we don't sell off more. We were setting higher lows, but also lower highs as of recently. We do have a divergence on the RSI. The RSI is cooling down while the price rises. This is actually a sign of continuation. Bitcoin's looking pretty positive. The Heikin-Ashi candles are also very bullish. Follow the trend. Heikin-Ashi candles make the trend a little easier to follow. Here's the Heikin-Ashi candles on the weekly, still in a beautiful uptrend. And the 4 hour is starting to flip green again after our little pullback here. I do think this recent news regarding Cynthia Lummis, we're definitely going to hear more about this shortly. And before I go, I wanted to talk about Larry Fink of Blackrock. He was talking to sovereign wealth funds, sorry, I can't talk. And this fund was seeking advice on whether to allocate 2% or 5% of their investment to Bitcoin. According to Larry Fink, if institutional adoption continues to grow, similar allocation strategies are embraced broadly, market dynamics could drive Bitcoin to such remarkable heights. These heights, high as $700,000 per Bitcoin. Is that going to happen this cycle? Hell no, I don't think so. If you think so, that's great. I respect that. Or maybe I don't because I said hell no. Maybe that was a little rude. I apologize. But follow the big picture. You have a CEO of Blackrock, the largest company in terms of assets under management, very bullish on Bitcoin. What does that tell you? And I can guarantee you that Donald Trump and Larry Fink know each other. This is a massive, massive entity, $11 trillion in assets. Oh, and also BlackRock bought some Bitcoin. They bought $600 million worth of Bitcoin. And here's the ETF cumulative flows. You can see that they got rid of GBTC here because it has been outflows overall, but the other funds have made up for it with overall more net inflows than the outflows from GBTC. You can see the cumulative net flows. Look at how much IBIT is taking. They are well on their way to $100 billion worth of Bitcoin. And guys, this cycle is so much different than the last cycle in a lot of ways. But regardless of that, you guys know that I still believe in the 4-year cycle. I think to some extent we will still follow a 4-year cycle, with typically a very bullish period around the halving and after, and typically a bearish period at the midway point in between the halvings. To me, that is a perfectly natural way for the market to have a bear market. There are going to be corrections along the way. There are going to be profit taking. One thing to think about as well is when Bitcoin goes up in price, it's going to take more to absorb the incoming supply, the daily 450 Bitcoin per day. At 150k Bitcoin, this takes $67 million, 500,000. Still not an extreme amount of money, but when you're thinking Bitcoin's going to get to 500k, 750k this cycle, if Bitcoin were to get to $500,000, you'll need $225 million to absorb the supply just every day. That doesn't account for any selling pressure. The market will flip at some point. People will start selling. There will be good times and there will be pullback times. Bitcoin isn't just going to go up and to the right from now on forever for eternity. It is still somewhat speculative. I would say it's getting less speculative by the day. and as the cycles progress. But at some point, Bitcoin will reach a price where people aren't as willing to buy it, where there are a lot of people that are deep in profits and ready to take profits. There are still going to be people that follow the cycle like me, that plan on selling. To think that Bitcoin won't follow its 4-year cycle to some extent, I think is a little crazy. It's not just going to go up and to the right perpetually. These crypto winters are great times to buy. You want the volatility. You want these large swings up, but the large swings down too. Remember, bull markets make you rich, but bear markets make you wealthy. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.